I thought my wife's cat hated me for 4 years. Now he's obsessed with me. I have questions. Redit user, u/BattleScarredBear. Original post, July 17th, 2025. So bit of backstory. In 2020, I moved in with my then-girlfriend, now wife. Along with our shared life came a shared menagerie. I brought my dog, Gemma. She brought 2 cats, Indy and Pico. I had high hopes that the animals would become some quirky Pixar-style blended family. I was a fool. Gemma was the sweetest, scruffiest, quietest old mutt you've ever met. The kind of dog who looked like she'd seen things, but mostly just wanted a gentle chest rub and a soft place to nap. She loved cats in a way that felt like she wished they were her pets. I've seen her gently lay down next to cats with this hopeful look on her face. She never barked. She didn't snuggle, exactly, but she'd lie nearby, always quietly hoping the cats might someday love her back. She was the canine equivalent of a kid on the first day of school holding out a juice box like, "Friends?" Indy, one of the cats, was a calico tabby with the emotional range of a bomb about to go off. Chaos incarnate. She hated the move, hated Gemma, hated everything really except for my wife and, somehow, eventually me. For the first year I lived there, she refused to come down to the first floor. Eventually, she came around to me, but she never stopped treating Gemma like an unholy menace. Even once she started hanging out downstairs, she'd travel across furniture and windowsills like a tiny fluffy assassin avoiding pressure plates, just to avoid setting paw where Gemma might have breathed. Poor Gemma had to give up on her dream of having a cat buddy real fast after getting swatted, undeservedly, too many times. And then there was Pico. Pico is a large orange tabby with the emotional resilience of a wet loaf of bread. Anxious, clingy, and, this is important, he had absolutely no time for me. He was a sad fat boy who lived only for my wife. He didn't like me. He tolerated Gemma. He hated cuddles unless they came from his chosen human. If my wife closed her office door, he'd cry like the Romeo understudy in a high school drama class. He'd sigh on me like I was the guy she told him not to worry about. We had an understanding. I existed, and he pretended I didn't. So that was our house for years. Gemma trying to just exist peacefully with the dying hope the cats might one day accept her. Indy radiating murder vibes or snuggling my head with begrudging affection. Pico ignoring me with great enthusiasm. It was an uneasy truce, but it held. 2 years ago, Gemma passed peacefully at 16. We were gutted. A few months later, Indy, who had slowly warmed up to me over time, decided I was her person. She got clingy. She'd caterwaul when I left, sleep on my chest, my head, my back, wherever she could drape her angry little body. Full gremlin energy, but affectionate. Recently, Indy's health declined. She had a worsening heart murmur, and about a month ago, we made the difficult decision to let her go gently. She was 17. We were devastated all over again. And then, immediately after Indy's passing, like within a few days, something shifted. Pico changed. Suddenly, the cat who had ignored me for 4 years became obsessed with me. He sleeps with me at night now. Rolls over for belly rubs, like I'm some kind of feline massage therapist. He insists on being in my office all day. If I go back to bed, he climbs in and snuggles up like I'm the last patch of sunlight in the universe. He wants me to feed him now, and he'll ignore my wife, his actual person, to come bop my chair and demand attention. Then he purrs like a dying lawnmower and looks at me with the kind of absolute adoration usually reserved for cult leaders and those who open cans. We didn't change our routine. We didn't rearrange the house. My wife is still very much present and fully available for cuddles. But Pico is acting like I'm his long-lost soulmate, and he's making up for lost time, which leaves both of us, me and my wife, completely baffled. I have several theories. Indy bullied him into keeping his distance, and now that she's gone, he's free to pursue this forbidden human romance. He's grieving, and somehow senses I'm grieving too. But it feels less like let's heal together, and more like rub my belly, grief monkey. This is a long con. He's softening me up for something. I don't know what. He's terrible at being a cat, so probably not murder, but definitely something. The shift has been instant and total. I feel like I'm living with a completely different animal. Nothing else has changed. My wife is still here. She is supposed to be his person. Now apparently I am. Has anyone else had a cat pull this kind of emotional U-turn? I feel like I'm living with a completely different animal now. I mean, I'm not complaining. He's a great cuddler and he's terrible at being a cat. And that's sort of charming in its own right. But I feel like I missed something here. Is this normal? Is this grief? Is he just now realizing I give excellent belly rubs? A glitch in a cat matrix? Or have I been a mark all along? TLDR, my wife's cat spent 4 years ignoring me like I was a piece of furniture that owed him money. Then our other cat passed away, and now he's obsessed with me. I have theories and concerns. Relevant comments. He misses Indy, and Indy loved you. He's reaching out. This 100%. It's been studied and proven that animal bonds rearrange our brain's neural connections, and when they pass, our brains mimic the grief like it was a child loss. Animals tend to pick up on this really fast. And so, because Indy bonded with you and has now gone your grief, and mourning is literally calling out and mimicking Pico's grief. This Pico is now bonding with you. Animals are truly magnificent, magical creatures that we truly don't deserve. Just for credibility's sake, have vet assistant agree and was an adoptions manager at a no-kill animal rescue. Enjoy your new best friend, and I'm truly sorry for your loss. OOP, I desperately want to believe this, and you may very well be right. But I've been so suspicious of his motivations that it's hard to trust this sudden wave of relentless adorableness. It feels like it could be nefarious, or at the very least, deeply selfish, which, in all honesty, I respect. You get those belly rubs, peaks. If this turns out to be a fully coordinated emotional assault, I will be in awe of the long game. I do want to reinforce that it never really seemed like the cats got along, which is why I have a hard time believing he's grieving in any classic sense. Indy barely tolerated him any more than she tolerated Gemma. I once caught them sleeping on the same bed within inches of each other, and it was such a rare event it became a household breaking news. We discussed it all afternoon, like a panel of cable news pundits trying to fill airtime during an election cycle. To be fair, though, maybe Pico would have preferred a more peaceful, inter-loving household. I imagine he misses Indy in the way that the Stockholm hostages miss Jan Erik Olsen. Cats have brains the size of a walnut. They don't really have the ability to plan ahead and do a manipulative long con. I'm not going to say they don't have any empathy, but there's no way they feel it the same way we do. It's not like he's going to wonder if he's being genuine or not. OOP, I genuinely love your earnestness and the seriousness with which you're engaging with my wildly unserious speculation. It brings me great joy on this morning of mornings. I bless your house, twicefold. I mean orange cat energy. LOL. But cats also can change with age. My parents' cat was aloof, never cuddly, didn't care for us humans, content to sleep in a corner in the sun. If you picked her up, she would have this horrible meow. We knew to just let her be. She did like being pet, but you had to go to her. Now, at 16, she literally cuddles anyone she can find. People who just meet her think she is the sweetest cat, and we all find it hilarious. Also, really loved how you told this story of yours. I am so sorry for the loss of your furry family. OOP, treasure her. There may be some truth in what you say here, because Indy also softened with age. She went from napping sinisterly in remote corners of the house to becoming what we affectionately referred to as the 10-pound terrorist. She wasn't actually 10 pounds, but the name stuck. She would scream at me until I was properly bullied into the chair, couch, or bed she had selected for cuddling. It was like living with a tiny, affectionate dictator. So perhaps Pico has now learned this skill, and without Indy to contend with, has decided to adopt her tactics for himself. I think you've cracked this case wide open. And thank you. Sorrow and joy are deeply intertwined in our household. If you haven't already, I highly recommend The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, especially his section on joy and sorrow. It captures it beautifully. In the world of cats, the system of territory is very solid. Even humans are considered territory. My theory is, both cats viewed you as Gemma's territory. They don't challenge a larger animal on their territory, so they stayed away. Indy must be the alpha out of the two cats. You became her territory once Gemma is gone. Indy's gone. Now Pico gets to have you all to himself. I experienced something very similar between two cats that I got around the same time. The second cat became much more affectionate with me once the first one passed away. OOP. This theory actually makes a lot of sense to me. That said, the idea of Gemma being the alpha in any regard is objectively hilarious. She was the most passive dog imaginable. She was a literal peacemaker in her day. Not submissive, necessarily, but deeply uninterested in conflict with other dogs or cats. Her whole vibe was there's stuff to sniff. Why you stressing? Indy, she was absolutely the alpha. Or rather, not an alpha, a queen. The smallest in the house in size, but the largest of us all in personality. She ruled with an iron paw. Her domain included all of us. We affectionately called her the 10-pound terrorist. And Pico, he's definitely a little princeling. The soft, sourdough loaf-like, emotionally needy heir to the throne, now basking in the full light of attention. There's so many changes that have occurred in your household. These affect the emotional environment of the home, and cats do pick up on that. Also, some cats can take quite a while to warm up to a new person in the home. I had my cat for several years before I met my girlfriend, who I eventually married. My cat was aloof and would not let her touch him. About a year after we were married, he might sit on the sofa next to her but would not allow her to touch him. Many months passed, and the cat slowly warmed up to her. Eventually, he accepted pets and interacted with my wife while I was not around. When I was present, the cat focused all his attention on me. My wife said she understood the cat's pecking order. I was number 1, the cat was number 2, and she was number 3. OOP. This generally tracks with how things have played out in our household too. When Jim and I first moved in, I was persona non grata to both cats. Indy appeared to warm up slowly over time, but Pico was obsessed with my wife in a way that bordered on the unhealthy. When I joke about there being an air of romantic competition between us, I'm really only half joking. The other half is projecting my own wildly inappropriate insecurities. That cat had zero doubts about his status as the favored son. I, on the other hand, was very much the unwelcome interloper, which is probably why all of this feels so confusing. In this house, I've mostly been considered spare human by all the animals, even my own dog at times. My wife has always been the clear favorite. Is it because she is a soft, cuddly human with a sweet disposition who gently coos, soothing savage beasts? Perhaps. Is it because she's a soft touch who routinely feeds her 4-footed children from her plate? Absolutely yes. So, you're probably right. Maybe Pico hasn't abandoned his obsessive devotion to my wife. He's just realized he can now distribute himself a little more evenly. For our benefit, of course. Out of generosity. Like a benevolent lord bestowing affection upon his lesser subjects. No advice, but I do find it wonderful how he's reaching out to you for solace. That being said, there's a memoir in here somewhere about you, your wife, and your pets. Your writing is fantastic, and there's absolutely an audience for a full-length, novel-sized version. Maybe writing it all down would be a good way to help you process your grief? OOP. I'd hope to write a novel one day. I've got a few started, though I have very little faith in my ability to finish them. I don't think it'll be a memoir. At least, not directly. The closest I've come is a futuristic sci-fi western set in a post-apocalyptic, mostly flooded Toronto, ruled by a chaotic tangle of crime lords, oligarchs, and military remnants. I know that doesn't sound close to a memoir, but the main characters are all based on pets of mine. One of the main characters is Gemma. The Indian-inspired character is shaping up to be a villain-turned-reluctant hero. And Pico? His role may be small, but it will not be insignificant. He is not a man of action. He is a man of loafing, and I shall honor him thusly. Also OOP. Just following up, my wife is reading through the comments and concurs with your assessment. I will do my level best. Whoa, I think Pico and my SO's mom's cat, Ricky, may be related because just about everything you wrote could describe him except for the fur color. Ricky is gray. Here's some Ricky details that sound similar to how you describe Pico. The most hunting the big lug has ever done was sit there and stare intently at a bug, and on one occasion a tree frog, until someone else noticed and did something about it. He has never played with absolutely any toy anyone has ever gotten him. And when presented with a toy, he just looks at whoever gave it to him like they're the stupid one. I'm pretty sure the only time that fool runs is when he thinks there's a possibility of him getting fed. He refuses to go higher than the lowest levels on the cat tree and had to be coaxed with several treats to even get on the dang thing at all. I've said on numerous occasions that I'm not convinced that Ricky even is an actual cat, because he's pretty strikingly bad at being one. My theory is that he's probably an alien or something. OOP. They're most certainly cut from the same cloth. Has Ricky also unlocked the secret weapon of meowing incessantly until you are incapable of thinking about anything except servicing his very urgent needs? Such emergencies may include getting down off the bed so he can drink water or investigate an empty corner of another room, getting back up on the bed, demanding belly rubs, yelling for dinner he's already been given, or simply because you had the audacity to be in a Zoom meeting. If so, they definitely trained at the same academy. These fine fat gentlemen have cracked the system wide open. 2. Definitely 2. Human lost friends. Human will pet extra. Commence with petting. Sad human. OOP. Ah, I see you've met Pico. Although around here, he typically refers to me as the fat man, cat elevator, or the foul interloper. Occasionally, can opener, I will wear my new title of Sad Human with pride. Update, August 24th, 2025, 1 month and 1 week later. It has been over a month since I posted about this situation, and I can tell you, I am slowly going mad. Many of you responded to that post, alluding to some version of the theory that Indy, our cat who recently passed, had claimed me as hers, and that she had kept the other cat, Pico. I thought I should share some pictures of him this time, from me. I have now come to believe this may be true, but not in the way you all thought. I think she was protecting me from him. One might even say she did it for his own good. He has not stopped meowing. Am I exaggerating? Of course I am. He is not capable of uttering a constant, repeating, irritating meow every second, on the second, for all 86,000, for 100 seconds of the day. He is asleep approximately 16 to 18 hours of the day. He also spends 10 to 30 seconds per meal inhaling the variety of damp, brown, pate-like meat paste we drop on his ornate, flower-shaped ceramic cat dish, multiple times a day. Meow. He is capable of keeping up that unrelenting pace of meowing for several consecutive minutes, sometimes as many as 15 of them, my personal best in resisting his unsiren-like call, bundled together into an episode of mind-eroding sonic torture. It is not loud. No, it is worse than loud. It is like a psychic lance to the skull, as though someone is tapping on the blackboard of my mind with chalk-dusted fingers, little scratches of nerve-wrenching shocks to my cerebellum. Over and over and over again. Meow, meow. I have ascertained some of the meanings of his belligerence. The purposes of these verbal assaults are many. Here are just a few of the reasons he has decided to employ this persuasion technique. He would like his breakfast approximately 3 hours early, 5 a.m. He would like a second serving of breakfast. He thinks he can convince whichever one of us didn't serve him breakfast that he hasn't had breakfast yet. He would like some of my breakfast. He would like lunch now. Yes, he has recently decided he would like lunch. He is thirsty. He, of course, has a massive cycling water bowl, but it seems he must announce when he is heading off for a drink. He would like an afternoon snack. He would like my afternoon snack. He is wondering if he can have some of our dinner. He would like his own dinner. He would like my wife to stop singing. He would like to be pet. He would like to be drawn into a cuddle and pet. He would like to be drawn into a cuddle and pet at 1 a.m. He would like to be drawn into a cuddle and pet at 3 a.m. He would like to have a post-breakfast cuddle. He would like to have a post-dinner cuddle. He would like to be elevated onto the bed. He would like to be de-elevated from a bed. Here are 2 things he does not utilize this skill for. Warning us he is about to vomit a hairball, or his dinner, onto the bed. Letting us know he has failed to reach the litter boxes, and has instead opted to poop on the stairs. Meow, meow, meow. And finally, to explain the elevation points and the yet unmentioned and most egregious use of this newfound misuse of his vocal powers, I must explain that my desk, where I work most days, is in a cubby in our bedroom. Directly behind me is our marital bed, which, In his ascension and self-crowning as king of this domain, he is claimed as his royal throne. Yes, there are stairs installed at the end of the bed. Yes, he is perfectly capable of using them. But no, he does not lower himself to such indignities when his human-powered elevation device is present. To be clear, I am the human-powered elevation device. Not my wife. Not any other nearby human. Just me. Meow. 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 And this leads us to the newest and most heart-melting, yet infuriating implementation of his royal declarations, begging for my attention. Not just my attention, but a very specific form of attention that he bypasses my wife for entirely. She cannot perform this task, apparently. Only I can. Meow. 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 This is entirely our fault. He was terrible at being a cat in the first place. He had no motivation to chase mice, strings, or even little laser lights. He never showed any interest in getting to high places like most other cats. In fact, the only time I've seen him try to ascend further than the couch was to get to the back of the couch, where my wife had left her bowl of ice cream unattended. He has always been spoiled, and we spoil him further because there is no going back. He is nearly 17. This is who he is. A hedonistic loaf of fur. Meow. 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 Even as I write this, he is pawing at the back of my chair, demanding that I perform my duty. That duty? Belly rubs. It's not just any old belly rubs. He likes when I grasp him firmly, but gently press my head against him and flop him down onto his side. A gesture that began out of pure frustration. After being interrupted for the 7th time in an hour, I pressed him to the bed and gave him a fury-fueled belly rub as recriminations for his bad behavior, only to have him start purring. Loudly, the same way he used to purr for my wife when she would relent and let him cuddle her in the wee hours. A purr I once interpreted as a petulant, performative, dramatic cat version of, "See, fat man, she loves me more. Meow, 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 meow." Now, weeks later, I must repeat this ritual several times a day. I am not allowed on the bed with him. I must remain seated in my chair, leaning over him so he can paw at my shirt or attempt to clean my face. He either wants to be fully on his back, clinging to my arm with his front paws, or slightly on his side, kneading the air like a baker of invisible biscuits. Is it cute? Of course. Is it annoying and inconvenient? Almost exclusively. When I am in meetings. Meow. When I am deep in a programming binge. Meow. When I am desperately trying to maintain focus on a passage of prose. Meow. When I'm trying to watch course material for work. Meow. 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 Is slowly eroding away at my tether. I can feel each utterance pierce into the meaty noodles of my gray matter, like an infestation of furry caterpillars crawling amongst my neurons. And yet, how can I be angry with him? How can I be annoyed, his age-per muscles sputtering as I stroke his belly, sounding like an ancient lawn tractor lurching back to life, the engine struggling to turn over even with the choke fully pulled out? The kind of noise you hear before some grizzled old man in a plaid shirt with a yellowed mustache says, "You can't just cold start him, gotta warm him up first." Sometimes I try to re-establish my grasp of reality by engaging these mewlings in conversation. Meow. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Meow. No, it's not time for dinner yet, buddy. Meow. You wouldn't talk to your mother like that. Meow. It's not okay to use that kind of language in this house. Meow. Seriously, where did you learn that word? It wasn't from me. Is it working? I don't know. My wife and mother-in-law find these exchanges hilarious. They don't realize this is my last-ditch effort to keep my sanity. I don't think it's working. I am losing it. He never stops until he gets what he wants. Any sense of autonomy I had as an adult has rotted away. I no longer feel in control of my day, let alone the idea of having any say in my destiny. I have no choice here. I must comply. I can only choose to endure or comply. There is no relief from it. I have no mouth, but I must meow. 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 Is this why we often jest about cats owning us? It doesn't feel so funny anymore. It feels horrifyingly, viscerally, unerringly true. I once believed I was terrorized by the other cat, her machinations and demands feeling pointed. But now, I wonder, have I been inherited, passed like a crown, from one master to the next? Is this orange monster my Joffrey? I can feel myself coming unglued at times, and the conversations take a darker turn. I'll turn to my wife and say, listen, I'm out 100% on the translation, but I'm pretty sure he's saying he's tired of it here, and he'd like to be taken to the shelter to find a more extravagant home, something more suited to his proclivities. Or, I'm pretty sure he just said it's time to cut the apron strings. He's ready to get out there, get a job, and find a place of his own. I think we should support him in gaining his independence. Or, Pico tells me he's interested in taking up lake swimming. She finds these less funny, especially since I've repeated them enough that she now warns of severe consequences if I even think such a thing. Do I think such a thing? Only in jest, I assure you. I may be going mad, but I'm not a monster. I would never hurt this cat, or any other creature. I am gentle with them, and I love them more than people. Even this cat, who tests the limits of the love between us. I do love him. I do. I swear. Meow, 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 meow. I am just baffled. Annoyed, certainly, but mostly baffled. Why does he like this ritual so much? Is this play for him, or some elaborate humiliation ritual for me that I do not yet fully comprehend? If I stop and turn back to my work, he will wait a few minutes, then cry for me again, and when I return he has stood up again. So being knocked over is part of it. But why? Why is he so particular? What does it mean? What is this? Meow, 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 meow. I am resigned to my fate. I will act as his personal elevator, and I will serve him his rubs of the belly. I do, and will find mental fortitude and emotional sustenance as he enjoys my attention. I will let my heart melt as he grasps my arm, or when he paws my shirt, or when he makes his air biscuits. But why are the air biscuits he makes so slow and so delicious? Edit. Thank you all for the compliments on my writing and for the awards. I'll try to respond to as many comments as I can. Relevant comments. You say he's obsessed, but you wrote 25 paragraphs and 25 bullet points about him. Are you sure you're not the one who's really obsessed here? But on a more serious note, please get him thoroughly checked out by a vet if he hasn't seen one since this started. Major behavioral changes are often caused by medical issues, and frankly, at his age, it would be surprising if he didn't have arthritis. Avoiding jumps and stairs is a common sign. Chronic kidney disease. Up to 80% of cats over 15 have CKD or something else going on physically. OOP. Is it obsession when someone is simply trying to make sense of the persistent, ongoing, and unrelenting source of their torment? If so, then yes, I'm hopelessly obsessed with this tangerine terror. That said, your concern is fair and appreciated. Pico has lived a long, spoiled, and medically complicated life. Even before I was in the picture, he went through a health crisis so severe that even the vet thought he was beyond help. My wife stubbornly refused to give up on him, nursed him back to health, and they've been an inseparable and arguably codependent pair ever since. He's been pampered and coddled for years. He does have some arthritis and is on specialized food for urinary issues, but he's monitored and cared for, and nothing so far suggests an underlying new medical crisis. At this point, I think what's changing is less his health and more his focus. His vocalizations aren't exactly new, it's just that they used to be entirely aimed at my wife, and after Indy passed, he seems to have redirected that fixation onto me. Health-wise, he is what passes for normal for him. Me, on the other hand, that's another story. I'm glad to hear that. And as someone who lost my life partner in part due to my elderly cat's urinary issues, thank you for going on this journey with your wife and her kitty, even when it's hard. OOP. I just want to say I'm so sorry that you experienced that kind of loss. I don't know the situation fully, but I can tell that it was an awful and painful experience to have gone through. If it offers you some comfort, please know that although I might jest about my cat, that I love him and my wife dearly, and I consider it an honor and a privilege to be there for them in the good times and the bad. I did not realize that Pico is an orange tabby. So, orange Pico? And he's spilling the tea. As for your cat indenturement, I am no help other than to write that my orange tabby usually meows greetings to me, and at noontime expresses wishes for petting. I'm now wondering how needy he'll be if my older dust kitty passes first. OOP. My wife named him, and not so coincidentally, it happens to be your favorite tea. As for your situation, I'd brace yourself. There's a distinct possibility you're in for a similar adventure. And if you ever find yourself in need of guidance on the proper belly rub technique, you know where to find me. One of our cats started similar behavior changes around age 18. It all started very suddenly. The vet suspected that she had had a small stroke. Maybe this might also be the case for your dear friend? OOP. I really do appreciate the concern. I know the suggestions that this might be a medical concern come from a caring and heartfelt place. But honestly, the only biological condition that truly explains his behavior is that he is orange. The rest of it is a byproduct of nurturing. He has had plenty of medical issues over the years, and as a result, my wife has spoiled him intensely.